as I went through grief, because now for me this was complicated grief. I didn't ever get to see my dad. I only saw him during his burial, which was a very trying time for me. So there is a lot that your childhood can have with who you are as a person, and also how you attach with relationships. What's up, guys? How are you? How are we doing? Mkwaje? I hope sisi wote tuko salama, and if you're not okay, I hope you're working to getting better. My name is Daisy. I'm a therapist, counseling psychologist. I'm a holistic therapist. That usually means that we use different approaches for individualized problems. I work with an organization called Convocare. I'm the founder and the CEO of this organization, and what we do really is to offer all mental health services, starting from therapy, group counseling, individual therapy, couples therapy, and we work with our clients step by step. We try to make therapy as affordable and available and accessible as possible. All our pages have content that can help anyone who is willing to look for mental health content, so that we all become more informed. A little bit of background. I have had a lot of success stories on childhood trauma, usually which is linked to relationships, and most importantly romantic relationships. The primary relationship that we have, ile relationship ya kwanza yenye huwa tunakuwa nayo, is that we have with our parents, and usually it reflects to all other relationships that we have, including our friendships and even our romantic relationships. And so just before I began Convocare, I realized that I had been in a couple of relationships that were not working for me, a number of abusive relationships, and I was wondering where this pattern was coming from. So fast forward, before I even chose to be a therapist, I met my dad 12 years after. I saw my dad 12 years in my life. Oh God, English imepotea. It's okay. So the first time I saw my dad after 12 years was in a coffin, and dead. And that was a very trying time for me. And as I went through grief, because now for me this was complicated grief. Reason why I saw him after 12 years is that my parents separated at a very early age. Their relationship having ups and downs, including abuse. And so my parents separated, and so I didn't ever get to see my dad throughout my primary school, from class 5 and all through my high school. I didn't ever get to see my dad. I only saw him during his burial, which was a very trying time for me. So this was what we call complicated grief, because it's complicated because the relationship that I had with my dad was complicated. He was absent, and the only time I ever heard of him, I didn't hear good things about him. And so the relationship that we built with him was complicated. And so as I went through this grief, I had to seek support, because it became overwhelming. And so I got into therapy myself. So in therapy now, I had a link between my grief, between my dad, and also a link between my romantic relationships, and realized that there is a lot that your childhood can have with who you are as a person, and also how you attach with relationships. So through this journey, that's how I became to know myself. I learned more about myself. I learned about the negative traits that I carry, the negative thinking patterns that I may have, and so I also began working on them. And so with this working on them now, I learned that I can be a therapist and also I can help people. So besides studying to be a psychologist, a counseling psychologist, I also had to go through therapy myself and also deal with my own issues so that I can be able to help people. And so that is how Convocare began. And so even as we are here today, I would like to call out to anyone who is looking to get help in terms of grief. Maybe you're grieving a parent, maybe you're grieving a loss, and because of its nature and how complicated it is almost impossible for you to grieve the normal way. So for example, for me, I had not seen my dad for 12 years. So anyone would think that it is possible for you to move on. You should not be crying about someone who has died and yet you didn't even practically have a relationship with them. So anyone who is going through this type of grief, I'd like to validate you and let you know that it is okay for you to grieve that person, no matter how complicated that relationship is. Any emotions that are stored within without actually dealing with them have a way to catch up with you later. So it is very important that you go through these emotions and actually address them. It's not helping if you just store them in the subconscious or keep on throwing them at the back of your mind. You need to deal with whatever it is. So I am partnering with my dearest friend Sami K, who is the owner of this channel, and I will be here from time to time, once every month, and I'm very willing to offer support to any of you. I'm also very willing to answer any of your questions that you may have. You can ask any question about mental health. You can come to me and say that maybe you're going through something and you need support, and I can help you either with referrals or even with therapy. I am here and I'm willing to help. Convocare it also does offer content. Please take time, follow our pages on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, and get all the help that you need from us. Thank you. Yeah.